Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's restoration will be over a 1973 Hot Wheels Redline Double Vision. This is one of my favorite castings because the windshield moves up and down, and I think that was a really cool addition they made to these cars. First step is I am center punching the posts. These posts are very tiny and do take a few tries to get it perfectly centered. The biggest thing with this is to make sure the drill bit is not off-centered when you're drilling. As long as you're careful with that, you're pretty much good to go. I found with the tiny posts, a bigger drill bit is better, and it doesn't drill too far in, which makes it not be so much a pain retapping the posts. Here the car fell apart. This car has a two-piece interior. The interior is just pretty much the seats and all of the dashes and the steering wheel. This car has a really good interior, which will only take some soap and hot water to make look good again. Now, if you can see really close, there is a tiny crack in the windshield. We'll see if at the end of the video I do end up replacing that, but I'll probably just keep it because it's not that big of a deal to me and it does add a bit more character to these cars. As you can see, there is some acid forming on the front of the car. This is that white flaky looking stuff. Now I do a bunch of things to try and make sure this stuff never comes back. Here I'm just seeing if it's more flaky or if it's more just eaten into the metal of the car, and it is a bit flaky, so I think I can get it all out. Here I use some paint or some aircraft paint stripper. Now with this enamel paint, I think some colors are harder to get off than others. This one kind of chipped right up, which made it super easy. It took about 2 coats of the paint stripper, but overall, the body is pretty flat, which makes it a lot easier to get all the paint off. Now, as you can see on the back of the car, there is some little, I don't know if you want to call it a grill or fins, but the paint on that took forever to get out, and I have these really tiny toothpicks that I use to make sure all of it comes out. As you can see, the body of this car is pretty eaten up. The front of it looks like someone took a knife to it and just started scraping, but I'm sure it was a kid, and that's a mix of concrete and a bunch of other toys smashing into it. There isn't too much of a polish to this car, and I plan on zinc coating it, which will really give it that shine back. Next, I'm using some COR cleaning solution. As you can see, it bubbles up the acid right away. I usually flip it when it's about halfway through to see if the other side has some acid forming or any other oxidation that I need to pay attention to. But overall, it came out really good. As you can see, the front of the car is getting eaten up with that acid, so I'm going to really pay attention to that, and I'm starting off with some steel wool to try and see how easy it'll come off. This is probably one of the worst bases that I have. Now, I did buy, I think I spent a little over $200, but I bought a massive collection of destroyed Redlines. I think in total it was like 130 or 140 cars, and some of them are actually pretty rare cars that I didn't know was even in the box. So the good thing is, with all of those cars, we will have content for a long time and a lot of restorations. I usually don't buy new, cars or Redlines in really good shape because I like to make them my own and to make them look good. And paying $200 for a little toy car to me is outrageous. But I'm sure there are some cars that I really would bite the bullet and spin. Here I'm just using a little bit of cutting fluid to make sure the tap stays good over time. And this is a watch holder that I found. It's pretty cheap. I think this one was like $8 on Amazon. I wish the yellow, I guess it would be like tabs, were a little softer, but it's really hard plastic, so sometimes drilling with it isn't the best, but tapping, since it's being, you know, lightly pressed, it works just perfectly. Here I am putting the screws back I'm putting the screws into the car to just make sure there isn't going to be anything getting inside the threads of it. This kind of just adds a little bit of protection, and I like to do it just to take as a precaution. The next step, I will zinc plate this car, and zinc plating is a bit of a pain because of how long it takes to do. However, it does come out really cool, and you do get that mirror shine.
Okay.
Here I'm running it through that zinc plater. This car took a little bit over 4 coats of a zinc plating. Now each coat you have to pull it back out, polish it back up,
so what
and
it's
then
doing
put it
is
back
it's
in.
pulling.
And one of the big
parts of
things
the
is to
metal
make
off of
sure
the,
that it's
stainless
clean,
steel,
or
and it attacks
the
the
metal
metal
won't
onto the
stick
base.
to the metal on the car.
Is this more abrasive? I don't know.
Here I use a mixture of a brass brush and a polishing wheel to get that mirror shine back. This is after the last coating, and as you can see, it is a amazing transformation. The car was starting to blacken just from the oxidation, and now we're getting to a mirror shine. It does help with scratches too, because the metal from the zinc does fill some of the scratches. Now, if I were to do it a bunch of times, I probably could get the scratches out in the front, but they were really big gouges, and it doesn't bother me, so I just went forward with it. Here with the buffing wheel, I'm polishing it up. This took about 15 minutes to fully buff it and to make it look good. Sometimes I do with newer zinc coats, I'll use 2 or 3 buffing wheels, and with the extra ones that I have from using so many buffing wheels, I just use with the base of the car, just because I'm not too worried on how the base looks. Next, I am doing a Redline Shot Purple Spectra Flame paint. This took about 9 to 11 coats. I can't remember how many exactly, but it was a lot. I'm a big fan of the darker purples for Spectra Flame, so I usually go way darker than what a Redline should be, in my opinion. But I plan on having a bunch of more purple cards because I love how this one turned out. I was using helping hands for soldering for the, I guess, post to paint the car with. Now these are helping hands that I bought at Hobby Lobby. I think they were like $19. I think they're probably less, but they were worth the money for sure. You do get a lot of play and a lot of flexibility on what you want to do in terms of painting. It also looks a lot nicer than what I was using before. Now, what I do paint it, or what I do airbrush into is just a box. And if you hear a droning noise in the background, that's just the air conditioning pushing the air out of the room. Make sure you, if you ever do use Spectraflame paint, that you wear a mask. The fumes to this are a lot worse than using like acrylic airbrush paint. Next, I'm using the gauzy and a bit of Renaissance wax. And then
No,
I
I
did
didn't notice
replace
that.
the rear wheels. However, the front wheels, I just used a chrome pin. Now, I don't like messing with axles if I don't have to, and a chrome pin cleaned it up just fine. Here's the car all put back together. I was really happy with it, and overall it's one of my favorite projects that I've done so far. Thank you so much, and I do plan on posting again this week, and please like and subscribe. It does help grow the channel and pop up for other people that haven't seen this channel yet, and I appreciate any feedback that y'all give. I am newer to YouTube, which means that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know what I'm doing. So in the comments, just drop anything that could help me out on growing this channel. Thank you.